Welcome to Outlaws and Gunslingers. From the Wild West to the rise of organized crime during the Prohibition, all the way up to today, America has had criminals, gangs, and law enforcement trying to bring them down. Join us as we profile some of the most infamous criminals, gangsters, outlaws, and lawmen in American history. True crime like you've never heard it before. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Bang and Dang.
Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers with your host, Bang and Dang. We got another remastered for you guys this month's remastered. Everybody's heard of Dodge City, Tombstone, Deadwood, all that. But has anybody heard of
Hot Springs and all that good shit?
Hot Springs, all that good shit, you know? But has anybody heard of Las Vegas, New Mexico? Which was the original Las Vegas, by the way. And this is the first of this month's 2 remastered episodes. So look at that. 2 remasters in a row for you guys this month. First one, all are going to be about Las Vegas and New Mexico. And I believe our next episode is going to be the man, the myth, the legend himself, Doc Holliday. So,
Doctor, huh?
Coming back to old Doc, who coincidentally visits this town.
Yeah.
Once or twice, sets up a little business, and then gets ran out of town. So go figure that one, huh?
Wasn't he like doing dentistry or something?
Something like that. And then he set up a saloon, and then he didn't play nice with others. So yeah, before we get into it, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. We get this show on our Battles of the American Civil War show as well. We post clips, shorts, and well, that's it over there now. We got our own separate darts channel. We play darts. That's why it's a darts channel. We'll have that in the description. And then if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, give us a review, share us with your friends, answer that Spotify question, Las Vegas, New Mexico. Well, the town of Las Vegas, originally called Nuestra Senora de los Dolores de Las Vegas Grandes, which is Spanish for Our Lady of the Sorrows of the Great Meadows.
Fantastic.
Began in 1835 after some settlers were able to get a land grant from the Mexican Army.
Oh.
Which, remember, this is still under Mexican Army territory.
Yep.
Or Mexican territory. The city was built in a typical Spanish colonial style with a plaza surrounded by buildings that acted basically as a fort and protected the city in case of attacks.
It did.
Well, the city began to prosper due to being the only notable city in 600 miles when you came from Kansas along the Santa Fe Trail.
Yeah,
so
that
this
was
is the
just-
last stop, buddies, till you get to California.
That was just some dirty, dirty old desert back then. The United States declared war on Mexico in 1846. General Stephen W. Kearny, he led his army of the West to Las Vegas to claim it as a possession of the United States.
And of course, why wouldn't you? It's ours now.
Right. When he got there, he saw there was a busy town with around 1,500 Spanish settlers. So he set up a few large cannons pointed at the plaza, and the settlers surrendered without incident.
What the hell?
Like, oh, shit. The army stayed in Las Vegas and enjoyed the whiskey and women that the town had to offer until Fort Union was built 20 miles to the north in 1851. Not only did the fort serve as protection of the town and the Santa Fe Trail, it also helped the growth and development as they bought supplies for the hundreds of soldiers and citizens who stayed at the fort. By the year 1860, nations on the brink of war, Las Vegas had 1,000 people living there, which they would quadruple in the next 2 decades.
Oh, nice, so 4,000. Good for them. By the time the railroads started making their way to the settlement in 1879, it was the largest city in between Independence, Missouri, and San Fran.
No shit.
Train tracks were laid a mile to the east of Las Vegas on the other side of the Galenas River. When the first train started rolling through the area, a station was built, and basically overnight there was a new town.
Damn right.
Started as tents and makeshift shacks, but soon permanent buildings took their
That's
place.
bullshit that they did that.
It was probably, you might have to go through mountains or hills or something. They were
Right.
like, this is the best path, you don't have to do shit.
Like, hey, if you guys want to survive, you're going to have to move across the river.
Right. Yeah. This new town also had its own commercial district, and the new Las Vegas was now a rival with the old Las Vegas.
Oh, shit.
Which was now called West Las Vegas.
Right.
New Las Vegas became so large that it rivaled cities like Denver, Tucson, and El Paso in size.
Damn.
1881, New Las Vegas was incorporated as a city, while Old Las Vegas was incorporated as a town. The city soon had waterworks and a telephone company. Look at these guys, dude.
Look at the instant, right? Look at what a railroad does, man.
what
It's
it does.
just insanity. 6 trains came through the station every day, which meant plenty of legit businessmen looking for an opportunity in a booming town. But we always know what you guys already know about boom towns. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
With good always came bad, though, and the access to town by train made it so that numerous outlaws, thieves, con artists, and murderers made their way into the city as well. Before long, the new Las Vegas was as lawless as any of the Wild West cities before it. To deal with this problem, peace officers were called in. The posse was known as the Dodge City Gang, although with members such as J.J. Webb, who was the current marshal, Mysterious Dave Mather, Joe Carson, Dirty Dave Rudaball.
Oh, Dirty Dave Rudaball. We've heard of him.
Hoodoo Brown, the Justice of the Peace. They were all as lawless as who they came to police, as usually happens, right?
That was also in the summer of 1879 that old Doc Holliday himself rolled into town. With his partner John Joshua Webb, who we just described, he opened up a saloon on the center street. Typical Doc fashion, he got into an argument with a local gunman named Mike Gordon. They went out into the street, and Doc told him to start shooting, which he did.
Oh, shit.
If you heard anything about Doc, you know what happened next.
Damn right.
Gordon was killed with 3 shots to the stomach in the street, and a lynch mob formed to hang Doc. He took off and headed back to Dodge City. He said, fuck this. Well, once he got there, he learned that old Wyatt Earp packed up, headed to Tombstone, and Doc said, I'll see you there, old friend.
Yeah, Earp's looking for silver and not even gold. He's like, fuck that
That's what
gold.
Tombstone was.
I'm going to get some silver. Let's go back to the Dodge City Gang. Even though the gang was brought in to help police the lawless city, they ended up being outlaws themselves, as we mentioned. Soon after they arrived, they were in control of the city. Over the next 2 years, they were involved in train and stagecoach robberies, cattle rustling, and thought to have taken part in many murders and lynchings and robbings and all kinds of there's just
Whatever they could do, they did it.
watch a Old West movie and there's always a guy with henchmen.
Right. Like we said before,
The Quick and the Dead or something.
well, that was the sheriff,
Right.
wasn't he? Wasn't he sheriff or the marshal of the town or something?
Maybe.
Killed his own son. Can you believe that? Sad. Well, this gang consisted of Justice of the Peace, Hyman G. Hoodoo Brown, Neal, City Marshal Joe Carson, Deputy U.S. Marshal, and later Las Vegas Marshal Mysterious Dave Mather, Peace Officer Tom Pickett, Policeman J.J. Webb, Hard Cases, Hard Asses, Dirty Dave Rudaball, Salim K. Frank Caddy, Dutch Henry Bourne, William P. Slapjack Bill Nicholson, John Bullshit Jack Pierce, Jordan L. Webb, no relation to J.J., and various other notorious gunmen. While Rudaball, Cady, Nicholson, Pierce, Jordan Webb, and the rest would commit acts of thievery, Neal, Carson, Mather, and J.J. Webb, in their official capacities, were suspected of helping cover their tracks.
And they probably had no choice.
Why wouldn't they?
I mean, they probably had no choice.
They were the leaders of the gang. Of course they had a choice. They were the ones sending them out to do the shit.
Right. The first suspected robbery occurred just a couple months after arriving in Las Vegas. August 18th, 1879, a robbery of a stagecoach near Tecolote, New Mexico, was carried out by 3 men, John Clancy, Jim Dunnigan, and Antonio Lopez.
Oh, no.
They were all arrested, but they were never convicted. August 30th, 1879, another stagecoach was robbed by Frank Cady, Slapjack Bill, Bullshit Jack, and Jordan L. Webb. Every single one of them was arrested. But guess what? Not one was convicted.
I wonder why. October 19th, 1879, masked men robbed a train near Vegas and made away with $2,085,
Damn.
3 pistols, and all the train's lanterns.
Oh, no, not the lanterns.
What do you need? What do you need lanterns for? I don't understand this. I didn't understand it the first time we did this episode, and I still don't understand it now. What do you need lanterns
Are
for?
they like gold-plated or
Must be,
brass
like,
or
probably brass or something.
something
Gotta
like
be.
that? I
Maybe.
mean, can you just imagine these guys rolling up into town?
Why would... What were Old West lanterns made from? Oil lamp would have been made of purified spirits distributing burned with a mixture of driven and alcohol sold as lamp fuels through in the 30s. I don't want that. Railroad lanterns. Typically, the antique railroad lantern is worth anywhere between $100,000.
Oh, no.
What are they, silver? Tin? Aluminum?
Gotta be something like that.
I don't know. Maybe they did it for the metal or something. I don't know why.
No,
Unless lanterns were a good way to... You could sell them.
right. In the year of 1881, Dave Rudaball would confess to this crime as well as the August 30th, 1879 stagecoach robbery with Las Vegas Marshal Joe Carson and a man named Joseph Martin. They were a part of that one as well.
Town was getting a bad reputation of being full of thieves and murderers.
I mean, come on.
Miguel Otero of the Dodge City Times wrote that in 1 month, 29 men were killed in the Las Vegas area.
Holy shit.
The violence was only about to get worse as the most well-known incident to occur in Las Vegas was about to go down between the Dodge City gang and some drunken fucking fools.
No.
They were shooting it up and being dumb.
There
Can't
we
be
go.
doing that.
Shit.
You can't be an outlaw in an outlaw's town.
Right. January 22nd, 1880. T.J. House, James West, John Dorsey, William Randall. They were all walking the streets being obnoxious and looking for trouble. They wound up at the Close and Patterson Variety Hall. And being there was a no firearms in town. What? They wound up at the Close and Patterson Variety Hall and being there.
Seeing how, whatever,
Right.
same thing.
They wound up at the Close and Patterson Variety Hall, and seeing that there was no firearms allowed in town, Marshal Joe Carson asked the men, "Hey, guys,
Firearms,
you
boys.
need to check those firearms. I know you seen the sign right when you came in." They said, "Fuck you!" And all hell broke loose after that, fellas. Gunfight broke out. Marshal Carson was killed immediately.
Damn.
Deputy Dave killed Randall and West. Wounded John Dorsey, and T.J. House managed to escape. He's like, "Oh, shit. Look at Deputy Dave."
Deputy Dave, he said, "Pow, pow, Randall and West."
Boom, boom. I'm gonna wound you, Johnny Dorsey.
Poor Marshal Carson, though. He was like the leader guy.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, February 5th, the gang learned that House and Dorsey were at a man named Juan Antonio Dominguez's house in Buena Vista, about 30 miles north. J.J. Webb, Rudaball, and about 5 other men rode to get these bastards. I thought Rudaball died.
No, Rudaball's still there, man.
They surrounded the house and ordered them to surrender. Dorsey and House were assured protection from the citizens of Las Vegas and surrendered.
Oh.
They were placed in the jailhouse, but soon after, a group of vigilantes took them from the jail and brought them to the windmill in the plaza to get hanged.
Oh, wow.
Before they could be strung up, Mrs. Carson shot them both, killing them.
Oh, shit.
Damn,
Good for you,
kill
Mrs.
my
Carson.
husband, you sons of bitches.
Damn, I'm sick of this shit.
Damn.
Since Joe Carson was dead, Dave Mather was named Marshal. J.J. Webb named Police Officer. The Dodge City gang's time in Vegas was almost at its end. But not before another murder, guys, because that happened on the 2nd of March, year in 1880. Hoodoo Brown heard there was a freighter in town named Mike Kelleher, and he was carrying about $1,900 in cash. Oh, he's not allowed to carry cash.
Hoodoo, you're supposed to be the good guy in here, and you're just doing this shit.
He's like, what? $1,900 in cash?
Well, the March 8th edition of the Ford County Globe reprinted this report from the Las Vegas Daily Optic. About 4 o'clock this morning, Michael Kelleher, in company with William Brickley and another man, who was a member of the Dodge City gang, entered Goodlit and Robert's saloon and called for drinks. Michael Kelleher appeared to be the leader of the party, and he, in violation of law, had a pistol on his person. This was noticed by the officers who came through a rear door, and they requested that Kelleher lay aside his revolver. But he refused to do so, remarking, "I won't be disarmed. Everything goes." Immediately placing his hand on his pistol, no doubt intending to shoot. But Officer Webb was too quick for him. The man was shot before he had time to use his weapon. He was shot 3 times, once in each breast and once in the head. Kelleher had $1,090, or $1,900, depending on what you ask, on his person when he was killed. And where'd that go? Where'd that go?
Right, son of a bitch. And just freaking lay your gun on the thing, right? Jeez, oh, Pete.
We probably knew what was about to happen. He heard of these little fuckers before he
Right.
came to town.
Right. Wow. Webb, he was arrested, even though it said that Hoodoo Brown was the one that who took the cash. It was after this incident that the citizens of Las Vegas had enough of this bullshit coming out from the guys that are supposed to be protecting them.
Right.
And they formed a vigilante group and posted this notice in the the Las Vegas Optic. It read this: to murderers, confidence men, and thieves. The citizens of Las Vegas have tired of robbery, murder, and other crimes that have made this town a byword in every civilized community.
Yeah, they're like, we're tired of people saying, talking shit about Las Vegas. They're like, we ain't going to go there. We'll go around.
Right. They have resolved to put a stop to crime. If in attaining the end, they have to forget the law and resort to a speedier justice than it will afford. All such characters are therefore hereby notified that they must either leave this town or conform themselves to the requirements of law, or they would be summarily dealt with. The flow of blood must and shall be stopped in this community once and for all, and the good citizens of both the old and new towns have determined to stop it. If they have to hang by the strong arm of force, and hang and force are in capitals,
Right.
every violator of the law in this country.
Signed, Vigilantes.
All right. Vigilantes.
After this notice was posted, Hoodoo Brown, Dave Mather, and the rest of the gang got the hell out of town. Though the Dodge City gang was out of town, that didn't mean that Las Vegas was free of crime. Late 1880s, the owner of the Imperial Saloon named Vicente Silva secretly headed a cattle rustling gang with many times entire herds disappearing.
Uh-oh.
Jeez. They called themselves the Silva's Whitecaps, the 40 Bandits, or the Society of Bandits.
Works out. Well, they would meet at the Silva Saloon and continue their operation up until 1892 when the citizens of Vegas hanged one of their members.
Oops, didn't they fucking warn you guys?
All right, the guy's name was Pat Mays. He's dead. The group disbanded shortly after, and Silva was eventually murdered by his former gang members in 1885.
Damn.
Well, as for the other members of the Dodge City gang, most of them suffered the fate that you would expect of those days. Well, some, they made it to old age.
Good for them.
Let's take a look at those guys.
Dutch Henry Bourne, more often called Dutch Henry, was an outlaw and one of the most prevalent horse thieves of the Old West. He was eventually sent to prison for stealing mules in Arkansas.
Oh, shit.
When he was released, he lived a clean life, marrying and becoming a father. Good
Fantastic.
for you, bud. Prison changed him. He died of a pneumonia on January 10th, 1921 at Pagosa Springs, Colorado. He lived a long time. Look at him.
Or was it the Spanish flu? It was long Spanish flu.
Right. He was born in 1849, so he made it to what, 60?
71?
Yeah, 71.
72? It's decent back then. It's old age. Let's take a look at Hyman G. Hoodoo Brown Neal. He was a justice of peace in Las Vegas, as we all know. He's from New Mexico. Neal fled to Texas, then Kansas, before arriving in Leadville, Colorado, where he was allegedly murdered in a gambling dispute. Poor guy. We don't know what year that happened in, though. Salim K. Frank Cady. We don't know what happened to that guy.
Disappeared.
Joe Carson, Las Vegas City Marshal himself. We all know what happened to that guy. He was killed in a gunfight at the Close and Patterson, at the Close and Patterson Variety Hall.
Yeah, mysterious Dave Mather. He was the U.S. Marshal and Las Vegas Marshal. He returned to Dodge City, Kansas, where he served as Assistant City Marshal before moving on again to Canada.
Oh, shit.
In Vancouver, he served in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, where he was still seen in the Royal Blue and Red as late as 1920.
Dude was living on the freaking border of Mexico and the United States and then
Went all the way up.
up
There.
Holy
and then,
shit. Desert to tundra.
presumably, was a pretty good mounted policeman, huh?
No, he was a mounted policeman. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Served in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, where he was still seen donning the uniform as late as 1920.
No shit.
Look at him. William P. Slapjack Bill Nicholson. We don't know what happened to that guy. He's gone.
All right, Tom Pickett. He's arrested with Billy the Kid and Dirty Dave
Rudaball, yeah.
On December 30th, 1880, he was released on $300 bail. Soon drifted to Arizona, where he worked with the Hash Knife Outfit. Later, he would serve a short stint as a United States Deputy Marshal. He died at an old age in Winslow, Arizona.
Ain't that crazy?
May 14th, 1934.
Oh, Dirty Dave. He was with everybody.
Right.
Well, John Bullshit Jack Pierce. We don't know what happened to him either. Meanwhile, Dirty Dave Rudaball, he escaped with J.J. Webb from the Las Vegas Old Town Jail in late 1881. Rudaball and Webb raced to Texas and then to Mexico, where Webb disappeared. February 18th, 1886, Rudaball was shot by two men in a dispute, or he shot two men in a dispute over a card game in Parral, Chihuahua, Mexico. Later, he was jumped, decapitated, and his severed head carried around on a pole for the next several days. Holy shit.
Dirty Dave.
You're in Mexico, man. Even Mexico was fucking savage even back then.
You ain't kidding. Wow. Six-shooter Bill Smith, a.k.a. John Henry Jenkins, or California Jim. He was bornish in around 1856. He died in 1882. He was a gunman, petty outlaw who enjoyed wounding people without killing them. He was killed in a gunfight in Cibolo, Texas in August 1882.
Poor guy.
Right. John Joshua, J.J. Webb, along with Dave Rudaball, broke out of jail in Las Vegas. Late 1881, Rudaball and Webb raced to Texas and then to Mexico, where Webb disappeared. Later, Webb in Kansas, where he took the name Samuel King. He died in Arkansas of smallpox in 1882.
Smallpox, huh?
Damn. And Jordan Webb, we don't know what happened to that guy.
It's no relation to JJ, though.
No.
Unknown, huh? All right, well, look at those guys.
All right.
Rudaball, huh?
Damn, Dirty Dave. He's feared by Billy the Kid. All right.
It was Dirty Dave, man. You don't get that name for nothing. By 1898, the town had finally settled down and the citizens enjoyed modern amenities. including an electric street railway, the Duncan Opera House at the northeast corner of 6th Street and Douglas Avenue, a Carnegie Library, the Hotel Castaneda, which is a major Harvey House, and the New Mexico Normal School, now called the New Mexico Highlands University. The city also provided Teddy Roosevelt with 21 men for his Rough Riders group. Good for them. Beginning in 1899, the city held the Rough Riders reunion, with the first one being attended by Roosevelt himself, I would assume.
Fantastic.
1 year later. The last reunion was held in 1969. The last Rough Rider.
Right.
They also held a cowboy reunion where the ranching life is celebrated. The two cities would incorporate into one in 1970.
Oh, fantastic. They need to, right? Right. Present day Las Vegas has a population of about 15,000 and is one of the lesser known tourist destinations in New Mexico. With over 900 buildings on the National Register of Historic Places, you can relive the Old West days with many of the era's buildings still in operation. Yeah. Even though the city is safe today and a good place to take your family for a visit, with everything we just went through in this episode, and with the likes of the aforementioned Doc Holliday, Big Nose Kate, Jesse James, Billy the Kid, Bob Ford, Wyatt Earp, Rattlesnake Sam, Cockeyed Frank, Web-Fingered Billy, Hook-Nosed Jim, Stuttering Tom, Durango Kid, Handsome Harry, the Dance Hall Rustler, Vincent Saliva, Vincent Silva, and his gang, and the Bell Sit-ins. It's no wonder historian Ralph Emerson Twitchell once claimed that, without exception, there was no town which harbored a more disreputable gang of desperados and outlaws than did Las Vegas.
Okay.
That was a rattle off of freaking Western guys.
Who's who, huh? If you want to see the old Las Vegas on the big screen, obviously several movies were shot here. It is used as the fictional town of Calumet, Colorado in Red Dawn, the original Red Dawn. Most of the 94 film Wyatt Earp starring Kevin Costner was shot here. Several scenes from John Carpenter's Vampires were shot in the plaza. Oh, yeah. Scenes from Wild Hogs. Most of No Country for Old Men. Oh. Toby Keith and Rodney Carrington's music video Beer from Our Horses was shot in Las Vegas.
Fantastic.
Scenes from Due Date starring Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
And many more. Also some notable people from Las Vegas or lived there at one point. Oh, Eddie Guerrero. He wrestled for New Mexico Highlands University in Las Vegas. Good for him. Patrick Swayze had a ranch here. I guess where he died. Mm-hmm. And a few other teachers and writers were also born here. Oh,
fantastic.
Notable ones. And others.
So look at that. Freaking an actual dirty town.
That was, some wild shit happening there. How the fuck did the first time we record this, it was 47 minutes? I don't understand that at all. There's a little look into the weirdness for you guys. Our first time we did this was 47 minutes, and this is probably about maybe 25 minutes, so imagine what the kind of shit we were talking then. I don't even know. Right. How drunk were we when we did that? Holy shit. All right, this is going to move us on to Cimarron, New Mexico. Yeah, we decided to do another one with Las Vegas since it was so short. We might as well stay in New Mexico with an even good rival what Las Vegas was. Cimarron, New Mexico. If you guys don't know about this, you're about to. Some good shit. Craziness happened in this town, though. It was a town established within a 1.7 million acre land grant, which was the largest land grant in U.S. history. Damn. Just off the Cimarron cutoff of the Santa Fe Trail. Land grant was originally the Bobian Miranda land grant. And then a fur trapper from Illinois named Lucien B. Maxwell worked in the area as a guide, started in 1872.
While he worked as a guide, he often visited the Bobian Miranda Ranch, where he courted and eventually married Luz, who was one of the Bobian's daughters. I hope so. 1857, Maxwell bought out the Mirandas taking the grant, and they went to develop the area. By 1858, he built a mansion, and it was the size of a city block.
The mansion had high ceilings, velvet drapes, gold trim paintings, and 4 pianos. With a mansion that big, in addition to just living there, he profited off of it by turning part of it into a saloon, a hotel, a dance hall, gambling rooms, billiards, and a place for women if special virtue due to these amenities.
It's like its own little town.
Right.
Like a town in a town.
On a city block.
All right. Fantastic.
His establishment was known to be visited by prominent names such as Kit Carson, Clay Allison, Davy Crockett, who was the nephew of the actual Davy Crockett. You guys remember?
Right.
Not that Davy. And Buffalo Bill Cody also came here.
Oh, Buffalo Bill.
Just like any saloon in the West, there were gunfire incidents, but Maxwell didn't like that. He didn't tolerate it, and he quickly kicked those assholes out.
Nice. Good for him.
Ain't gonna happen in my saloon.
No,
Take
today,
that shit down the road.
Yeah, go to New Mexico or Las Vegas.
Right.
You sons of bitches. The actual town of Cimarron wasn't officially established, though, until 1861. The name Cimarron, Spanish, meaning wild and unbroken, which was fitting due to the mountain men, outlaws, trappers, and cowboys that the town attracted. Maxwell's father-in-law, he died tragically in 1864, so he quickly bought out the other 5 heirs to the grant. He's like, oh, damn, this dude's smart. He renamed the grant the Maxwell Land Grant. And he was now the largest land grant owner in the country.
Good for him.
It was in 1864 that he also commissioned an engineering firm from Boston to build a 3-story mill that he called the Aztec Mill. Kind of looks like an Aztec.
Kind of, right? New Mexico, right? It grinded 15,000 pounds of wheat a day, which supplied Fort Union flour as well as some supplies for the area's Indians. Maxwell was compensated by the government for what he supplied to the Indians as well. I would assume by the fort as well, right?
Nice.
He would continue to operate the mine until 1870.
Gold was discovered in 1866 on Baldy Peak. Of course, with gold comes miners, and miners comes travelers, and travelers comes outlaws.
Right.
And this is what a boomtown usually is anyways, guys. We all know boomtowns. With all these people now coming to Cimarron, the town soon had 16 saloons, 4 hotels, and a bunch of trading stores. Same thing that happened in all these new towns popping up in this era happened here as well. Lawlessness soon became rampant. On one night, the Cosgrove house was holding a celebration for a newly married couple. And guess what happened? People started acting up.
You know how that happens. Charles Cosgrove, who was the owner, was trying to get the troublemakers to leave, and at that point, the sheriff, Mason Chase, came up to see what was going on. Cosgrove was already pissed off and assumed that the sheriff was one who started the mess.
Oh.
Cosgrove shot him in the chest, but luckily for the sheriff, he had a thick notebook in his pocket and he survived.
Oh, shit.
Hell, did Cosgrove go to jail? Jeez.
I would hope so. Damn. Around 1870, notorious gunslinger Clay Allison, he come into old Cimarron with his gang.
Uh-oh.
They made Cimarron their regular Saturday night party place. Well, the business owners, they loved their money, but the townspeople were scared to death of this group. Like,
How much money are they going to make when it's only these fuckers probably not even paying for their drinks anyways?
Right. They're like, they get drink all day, party all night, ride through town hollering and hooting and shooting their guns while bouncing from saloon to saloon, the gambling hall to gambling hall, and then maybe at a dance hall.
Hey, you got to get that boogie in.
Right. Boogie. They would get so drunk through the nights that they would just shoot lamps and not the lanterns.
Right, need those.
Shoot lamps and lanterns and mirrors. And one of the favorite thing to do, you guessed it, they make people dance while shooting at their feet.
Wow. Also in 1870, though, Maxwell sold his land grant. He said, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm selling this for $700,000, which is about almost $14 million today. And he got out of Cimarron and moved to Fort Sumner, New Mexico.
Shit.
The new owners that took over exploited the area's resources and hassled settlers for their rent.
And he goes to Fort Sumner. I guess that's probably
better than Cimarron, apparently.
Yeah, I guess.
The new owners opened a sales office in Maxwell's mansion and waited for customers to rush in. Unfortunately for them, faltering gold production and threats from Indians spooked potential buyers. Like, we're not doing anything here, guys.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, have you seen your town?
right. At this time, the Maxwell Land Grant Company, they didn't like that the town was so rowdy. President of the company, John Collinson, sought out a newspaper man from Santa Fe named Alexander P. Sullivan. They drew up a contract for Cimarron's news and press. With the first issue on September 22nd, 1870, about time they get a newspaper. They also found out that a chef for Abe Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant was working at a hotel restaurant in Elizabethtown. And they convinced him to come on down to Cimarron.
Come on, work at our famous hotel over here.
Yeah.
That new hotel and restaurant became known as the Lambert Inn, which started business in 1872. With no law in town, the inn became a place of violence.
Oh, shit.
At least 26 men were shot and killed inside the walls of that Lambert Inn.
Wow.
It was so bad that usually the first question in town in the morning was, who got killed at Lambert's last night?
Oh, shit.
Or, it appears Lambert had himself another man for breakfast. Jeez. Allison and his crew loved going to Lambert's.
I
Why
bet
wouldn't
they
they?
did.
Well, they continued harassing the town. Allison, he was also associated with Davy Crockett, not that Davy.
No, not that Davy.
As both men were from Tennessee and hated the black troops that were stationed at Fort Union.
Oh,
Yep.
oh man. With lawlessness running rampant, By 1875, a local war broke out between the land grant company and the settlers. The company trying to evict the squatters, settlers, and farmers, and those people were like, nope, nope. We invested in our lands and our lives and our money into this place. We ain't leaving. Sheriffs began serving eviction notices, and the shit hit the fan, boys. Settlers began setting grant pastures on fire. Cattle rustling increased. Officials were threatened by gunpoint.
Jeez.
Gang members from the Grant Company did nighttime raids on homes and ranches and threatened violence to encourage cooperation of the settlers. This became known as the Colfax County War. I think there's a movie that's called that.
Hey, Ben.
As many as 200 men lost their lives during this war.
Well, soon a minister by the name of Franklin J. Toby came to town and loved the town so much that he wanted to make his home here. He said, I'm staying here. Unfortunately for him, he sided with the settlers.
He had a lot of work to do.
Right. I know.
Oh, shit.
Well, unfortunately for him, though, he sided with the settlers, saying he would do anything he could to stop the land grant owners. Unfortunately for him, though, September 14th, 1875, he was found shot to death in Cimarron Canyon, which was halfway between Cimarron and Elizabethtown.
It's one thing that didn't happen very often. They didn't shoot ministers unless there were some really bad mofos. But they usually let those guys live.
Sometimes a man of the Lord. The robbery couldn't have been the cause for this murder because his horse or belongings were not taken, so the settlers immediately suspected the land grant owners were involved, killed them to silence them.
I would have to believe that as well. October 30th, after rumors went around that the new city constable, Cruz Vega, was part of the murder, a masked mob led by Clay Allison confronted Vega. He denied having...
Look at Clay Allison being the good guy here, supposedly.
Maybe he was all along. He's just a rowdy
He
drunk.
just like to drink and shoot.
All right. Vega denied having anything to do with the Moida, but the mob didn't believe him. They beat the shit out of this guy right before hanging him in front of a telegraph pole.
Oh, wow.
On November 1st, Vega's uncle, Pancho Griego, and Vega's 18-year-old son started making threats to the town. Oh, shit.
You know what's going to happen next. Looking for trouble, they went into the Lambert Saloon where Grego accused Allison of killing his nephew. Grego fanned himself with his hat, trying to distract Allison while he reached for his gun. Allison wasn't fooled and shot him twice, killing him.
Ooh.
The saloon was closed while they investigated, and Allison was found to shoot in self-defense.
Right.
The people in town were actually more upset about the saloon having to close than they were about somebody dying inside. They're like, what the fuck? Where am I going to go get my stew now?
Well, there's 4 of them.
Well, this one's the Lambert Inn, though.
Right. All the violence and murders in Cimarron left many of the residents fed up. They soon began leaving town in droves. Eventually, guards were placed at all entrances to Cimarron, and no one was allowed to leave or enter without the permission of the anti-land Grant Vigilante Group.
That's the
Holy
Vigilantes.
shit. In November 9th, 1875 issue of the Santa Fe New Mexican, they informed the public that Cimarron was in the hands of a mob.
Sure was.
They say that because supposedly Cimarron was under control of Davy Crockett. Not that Davy. Davy and his mean old ranch forehand, Gus Heffron, they were always at the bars and they were gambling.
Yes, they were. Up until the night of March 24th, 1876, Davy was actually well liked by the people in town. Well, that night, Crockett, Heffron, and a man named Henry Goodman were going from saloon to saloon getting wasted. Getting ready to call it a night, they stopped at Lambert's to grab a bottle of whiskey for the ride home. Crockett went to go out of the saloon but couldn't open the doors because someone was trying to open it from the outside. Oh. This made drunk-ass Davy pissed. And when the door finally opened, there was a soldier from the 9th Cavalry, which was a black unit known as the Buffalo Soldiers.
Yeah, the Buffalo
We already
Soldiers.
know about Davy and the Black.
Well, Davy Crockett, not that Davy, but maybe that Davy, hated black soldiers. So he pulled his gun out and murdered this man. He then shot at 3 other soldiers playing cards in the saloon, killed 2 of them. Horses were stabled at a barn where the rest of the soldiers were housed, so they fled on foot. When Davy appeared before the justice of the peace, he said that putting black men in uniform was adding insult to injury. He was acquitted of the Moitas because he was drunk and fined $50 for a firearm offense. Jeez. That's nice that you can get away with it for being drunk.
Only in the Wild West can you get away with murder for being drunk.
Well, he was drunk.
What are you going to do? And it's Davy.
Right.
It's Davy. Come on. Get it off.
It's Davy's Davy.
Right. Getting off the murder made Davy even more cocky.
Oh, I bet.
Call him
Cocky
Davy
Dave.
Cocky. He and Heffron would ride their horses into saloons and shops, fire their guns in the ceilings, and force people to buy them drinks at gunpoint. One night, they forced Sheriff Reinhardt to drink liquor until he passed out.
His uncle would be so ashamed of him.
Right. Tired of Davy's antics, Sheriff deputized Ranger Joseph Holbrook and Postmaster John McCullough to get rid of him. September 30th, the sheriff and the two other men hid near Schwenk's barn, waiting for Davy and Heffron.
Oh, shit. Here we go. When they both finally came, Holbrook revealed himself. Said, "Raise those hands." Davy laughed. He said, "Shoot me. I dare you." Which Holbrook said, "All right," and shot him. Damn. The sheriff and McCullough also shot at the two men, which startled their horses and made them run. Heffron kept riding, but Davy's horse stopped on the other side of the river. His hands were in the deathlock grip on the saddle and had to be pried open.
Poor Davy.
Heffron was later arrested but escaped on the 31st of October, 1876. Rode off into the sunset over to the Colorado mountains, never to be seen or heard from again.
Well, good for you. Although the story is what is often told, Crockett's family, of course, they have a different version that has been passed down by family members. Well, we don't know. It's like playing that telephone game.
Right.
According to Davy's nephew, Andrew Jackson Crockett, Reiner wanted Davy's horses. Why would he want his horses? And accused Davy of being a horse thief. He was scared to arrest Davy alone, so he recruited the cavalry to arrest him.
Uh-oh.
4 Buffalo soldiers confronted him, and one of them drew a gun, and Davy killed 3 of them. Andrew Crockett says that the sheriff and another man ambushed Davy as he was leaving town and shot Davy in the back. Well, Davy, nonetheless, whatever happened, he was buried in Cimarron Cemetery. There was no grave marker, so the grave became lost. A new marker was erected, unknown if it's actually at the right grave site.
Most likely not. Holy shit.
I mean, the one where he enlists the cavalry to help him with Davy probably is the accurate one.
Right.
Sounds like it to me. Like, that would be most plausible.
You know how that shit went?
The sheriff didn't just get pissed and finally say,
Right.
"You made me drink till I passed out. Now I'm going to ambush you, or I'm going to take you and get out of here."
Get the hell out of here. 1880, Lambert's Inn attached a hotel in which many notable names stayed there. You got Buffalo Bill. He met Annie Oakley there.
Good for you.
Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, Jesse James, Blackjack Tom Ketchum, many more has laid their heads down on those pillows. The hotel was renamed St. James and still in operation today.
Yep.
Gold production slowed, and by 1882, with population decline, it lost its county seat to Springer. Colfax County War continued until 1887, when the Supreme Court sided with the land grant company. Of course they did. Makes sense. Tells you they were the bad guys.
Right.
Some people bought or leased their places by many, but many just left. The company would go on to thrive for decades,
course
with
it would.
many of today's residents still getting into heated debates about the county war. Oh, shit.
Those damn land grants, sons of bitches. No, you guys settled it. They're a bunch of vigilantes. No place in the world for that.
Right.
Well, Lambert's son replaced the roof of the inn in 1901 and found more than 400 bullet holes in the ceiling above the bar.
Oh, I bet.
There was a thick layer of wood that prevented anyone upstairs to be harmed by the bullets, and to this day, there are still 22 bullet holes remaining in the dining room ceiling.
Fantastic.
Lambert would die in 1913.
Wow.
The St. Louis, Rocky Mountain, and Pacific Railroad built a spur line to Cimarron in 1905, and guess what? The old town rose up from the dead.
Bet you did.
Hotels, stores, and homes were built as people came in from the newly built railroad. Lambert's son, Fred, restored the Aztec mine, and it is now a museum.
Fantastic.
Fred was the youngest marshal in New Mexico at age 16. Damn. And he held many law positions during his career. Look at you,
guy.
Fred.
Fantastic.
Little overachiever, huh?
Well, the Lambert Inn, now the St. James Hotel, was restored in 1985. The old saloon turned into a dining room. Still has the original bar. And the 22 bullet holes, as we said. There is a plaque in the hall of the hotel that commemorates Clay Allison, including a roster of 19 men he supposedly moited. The hotel is open year-round. I would hope so. With 13 rooms named after the famous people once stayed there. Later, an annex was added to the hotel that gave it an additional 12 rooms. That's nice.
Look at you guys. A primitive statue of Lucien B. Maxwell was built where Maxwell sits facing the west with a rifle in his hand. Ooh. However, a curator of the Aztec Mill, Buddy Morse, says that the statue was actually built for Henry Springer, but he didn't like it, and he said statues are only built for dead people. So they were like, why don't we just say it's of Maxwell?
Right. I think that's most likely, yeah.
Right, who knows what he looks like, you know?
Right. Holy shit. The old gambling hall, Schwenk's Hall, is now a private residence and also a gift shop.
All right.
It has a plaque as well on the wall that says, "It was here that Coal Oil Jimmy and Davy Crockett won $14,000 bucking faro."
Yeah, that's my Pharaoh game now.
Yep. While renovating the house, the owners found a tunnel, and it goes from under the house to under the garage, which could have been the saloon and gambling den. Cool. That's very possible.
One of the most historical places in Cimarron is indeed the cemetery.
As always.
There are the plots of Lambert family art, as well as Davy Crockett, Minister Tolby, and Cruz Vega. A grave marker has been added to Davy's grave, although we already said probably not in the exact same spot where he was buried. He originally had a marker there after he died, but family members removed it, planning on getting a new one, but it never happened.
Why would they remove it?
Right. When Fred Lambert was still alive, he said that Davy's grave was halfway between Reverend Toby's grave and the Lambert family plot. If that means anything to you guys.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
And today, Cimarron, just a little old mountain town, around 900 people. And guess what? They need your tourism. Go there.
Fantastic. Cimarron, New Mexico, huh?
It'd be nice to go there.
It would.
Right?
It would be nice.
What's it look like? You
Yeah,
think?
what's Main Street look like? There it is.
They got a lot of stuff.
The Aztec Mill Museum right there, but damn, they are in the mountains. Fantastic. And just a little old fucking town.
And there you go. 2 New Mexico towns, 2 lawlessness,
Yep.
murders, killings, and greedy land grant owners. What are you going to do, right? And I don't know how.
Just about every Wild West movie.
And again, I don't know how we got 40-something minutes off of this one last time either, but.
Right, it's so weird. Well, I know how.
Right. But that being said, next week, though, we're going to continue since there's 5 Tuesdays this month.
Tuesday.
Which means we got a back-to-back remastered next week. It's going to be the legend Doc Holliday himself.
Oh, Doc.
And then,
Mr. TB himself.
Mr. TB himself, Mr. Huckleberry.
Yeah.
With that, go check out our YouTube and do all the good stuff. Links in the description. And we'll be back next week for Doc Holliday on Outlaws and Gunslingers. We are the Mother Music Ended.
Bang, dang.